My dear friends, let me begin with a simple question. Have you ever noticed how, when we were children, our parents held our fingers so tightly, but as we grow older, slowly, silently, we start letting go of theirs, not because we don't love them, but because life becomes complicated. Today, we are talking about something very sensitive: why some younger people avoid living with their elderly parents. Now, before we judge, let us understand. Because behind every decision, there is a story. 1. The story of Rahul, the pressure of modern life. Rahul was a simple boy from a small town, raised with strong values and deep love for his parents. His father was a school teacher, and his mother dedicated her life to raising him. Every night, his father would say, "Beta, study well so you don't struggle like us." Rahul listened. He worked hard, and one day he made it to a big city with a respectable job. But life in the city was not what he imagined. A small rented apartment, rising expenses, long office hours, and constant pressure to perform. Rahul would leave early in the morning and return late at night, often too tired even to cook. Slowly, life became a routine of survival rather than joy. Meanwhile, back home, his parents were growing older. They missed him deeply. One day, they called and said, "We are thinking of coming to stay with you." Rahul's heart filled with love and fear. He wanted them near him. But he also knew his reality. There was barely space in his apartment. More importantly, there was no space in his schedule. He worried, will they feel neglected? Will they feel lonely sitting at home all day while I'm away? After days of overthinking, he gently suggested, "Maybe it's better if you stay there. I'll visit often." His parents agreed, but something silently changed. My dear friends, sometimes younger people are not running away from responsibility, they are overwhelmed by reality. The modern world demands so much that even maintaining one's own is a challenge. Balance becomes difficult. Rahul didn't love his parents any less. In fact, he missed them every day. But he feared that bringing them into his chaotic life might hurt them more than help them. So remember, sometimes distance is not a sign of neglect, it is a silent expression of helplessness. 2. The story of Mira, the clash of lifestyles. Mira was raised in a traditional home where discipline and routine were everything. Early mornings, family meals, respect for customs, these were deeply ingrained in her life. But after marriage, her life took a different turn. She and her husband built a modern, independent lifestyle. Late dinners, flexible routines, weekend outings. Life became more about freedom and personal choice. Years later, when her parents moved in with her, it felt like a dream come true. At first, everything was beautiful. Home cooked meals, shared laughter, and emotional warmth filled the house. But slowly, small differences started creating cracks. Her parents would question her late night habits. They would worry about her ordering food instead of cooking daily. They would suggest, "Why don't you follow the old ways? They are better." Mira tried to adjust. She really did. But every day felt like she was being pulled in two directions: the life she had built and the life her parents expected. Conversations turned into disagreements. Disagreements turned into silence. One evening, after a long argument, Mira sat alone and thought, "If this continues, we will hurt each other more." With a heavy heart, she arranged for her parents to stay nearby instead of living together. Friends, this is not a story of lack of love. This is a story of lack of alignment. Generations grow in different environments. What feels normal to one may feel uncomfortable to another. And when two lifestyles clash daily, even love starts to feel heavy. Sometimes, younger people choose distance not to break the relationship, but to protect it. Because constant friction can slowly erode even the deepest bonds. 3. The story of Arjun, emotional exhaustion. Arjun was the only son of his parents. He loved them deeply and always believed that caring for them was his duty and privilege. As they grew older, their health began to decline. Frequent doctor visits, medications, sleepless nights. Arjun took care of everything. Initially, he handled it with strength, but over time, the responsibility started taking a toll. He had a full time job, a family to support, and now full time caregiving responsibilities. His days became longer and his nights became shorter. One night, after rushing between the hospital and office, Arjun sat quietly in his car and broke down. He whispered to himself, "Why do I feel so tired? Why do I feel like I'm failing?" He felt guilty for even thinking this way. Because society often teaches us that caring for parents should come naturally and effortlessly. But the truth is, caregiving is emotionally and physically demanding. It requires patience, resilience, and constant energy. Arjun realized that he was reaching a breaking point. With a heavy heart, he decided to seek professional help and arrange better care support for his parents. Some people around him judged him. They said, "How can you not take care of your own parents?" But they didn't see his struggle. My dear friends, sometimes stepping back is not abandonment, it is sustainability. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Many younger people today are not avoiding their parents, they are trying to manage responsibilities they were never trained for. And sometimes the bravest decision is to accept your limits. Because love should not lead to burnout. Love should be supported with strength, balance, and understanding. 4. The story of Sana, the desire for independence. Sana was a bright, ambitious young woman who always dreamed of living life on her own terms. Growing up, her parents were protective and guiding, ensuring she stayed on the right path. She respected them deeply, but somewhere inside, she always felt a desire to explore her individuality. After completing her education, she moved to a different city for work. Living alone taught her many things: decision making, responsibility, and self discovery. For the first time, she felt truly independent. Her parents, however, wanted her to return and live with them. They said, "Why stay alone? This is your home." Sana felt torn. She loved her parents, but she also loved the person she was becoming. She feared that moving back would bring back restrictions, constant questioning, and a loss of the independence she had worked so hard to build. So she chose to stay separate. But she didn't disconnect. Every weekend, she called her parents. She visited whenever she could. She made sure they felt valued and loved. Friends, independence is not rebellion. It is growth. The problem arises when independence is misunderstood as distance or disrespect. Sana's story teaches us that living separately does not mean loving less. In fact, sometimes space helps relationships breathe. It allows both generations to grow without feeling controlled or confined. What truly matters is not physical proximity but emotional presence. 5. The silent truth, unspoken expectations. Let me tell you something very simple, yet very powerful. Most conflicts between parents and children are not about living together or separately. They are about expectations. Parents expect attention, time, and gratitude. Children expect understanding, space, and trust. But the problem is, these expectations are rarely spoken openly. A father may sit quietly, waiting for his son to call. A son may assume they understand I'm busy. A mother may expect her daughter to visit often. A daughter may think they know I love them. And in this silence, misunderstandings grow. I once met an elderly man sitting alone in a park. I asked him, "Do you feel lonely?" He smiled gently and said, "I don't mind living alone. I just wish my children spoke to me more often." That sentence carries so much truth. The issue is not always distance. The issue is disconnection. Sometimes younger people avoid living with parents because they feel they can never meet expectations. And parents feel hurt because their expectations are not fulfilled. So, what is the solution? Communication. Simple, honest, heartfelt communication. Say what you feel. Listen without judgment. Understand without ego. Because at the end of the day, relationships don't fail because people live apart. They fail because hearts drift apart. And my dear friends, distance can be managed. But emotional disconnection is what truly needs healing. Conclusion: love beyond proximity. My dear friends, as we reflect on why some younger people avoid living with elderly parents, we come to a very profound truth. Life is not always about being physically close, but about being emotionally present. We often think that living under the same roof equals love. But sometimes, love does not need walls, kitchens, or bedrooms to exist. It needs understanding, patience, and compassion. Every generation carries its own journey. Parents lived in a world of discipline, simplicity, and responsibilities that often shaped their expectations. Children today live in a world of speed, stress, and choices that were unimaginable to previous generations. And when two worlds meet, friction is inevitable. It does not mean the love is gone, it means that the forms of expressing love are changing. What matters is the heart behind every choice, the intention behind every action. Sometimes younger people live apart because they want to protect the relationship, not break it. Like Rahul, who feared that his chaotic life might hurt his parents more than help them. Like Meera, who wanted to preserve love by avoiding constant conflict. Like Arjun, who understood that exhaustion is real and sustainability sometimes requires asking for support. And like Sana, who sought independence not to rebel, but to grow and strengthen her ability to care. Distance, when handled with love and attention, can actually deepen relationships. It teaches both generations patience. It teaches empathy. It reminds us that love is not possession, it is presence. And presence does not always mean physical proximity, it means emotional availability. A phone call, a weekend visit, a shared story, a simple I love you, these are far more powerful than living under the same roof but being emotionally absent. Friends, the most important lesson is this: relationships are not about obligations, they are about choices. The choice to understand, the choice to respect boundaries, the choice to communicate with honesty, and the choice to see the love that exists even in silence. Life is short, and the time we have with our parents is precious. Let us use it wisely, not with guilt, not with resentment, but with a heart that truly understands them and ourselves. One day, we will all stand where our parents are standing today. And we will hope that those we love make the choices with compassion, patience, and care, that they see beyond routines and expectations, beyond walls and distance, into the heart. My dear friends, living with our parents is one way to express love, but it is not the only way. Love thrives where hearts are open, where respect is constant, and where connection is nurtured regardless of the number of steps between us. So, let us remember, love is not measured by proximity, but by presence, not by what we give in obligation, but by what we offer from the heart. And if we live with this awareness, every choice we make near or far will bring peace, understanding, and joy to both generations. Because in the end, my dear friends, life is not about houses or apartments, it is about hearts that choose to remain together in love, in respect, and in understanding.